very good morning to you, dear listener, and welcome to Perspectives, a current affairs discussion program on Hygiene Radio 95.5 Star FM, Makudi, Benue State. This morning on Perspectives, we shall discuss water, hygiene, and sanitation challenges in Benue State, commonly referred to as WASH. Already, the issues of sanitation are never ending. And at a time where some communities in the state have recently experienced devastating flooding, some of them displaced. The number of persons are beginning to resettle in some of the communities. Are they hygienic enough for the state of people to resettle? What kind of hygienic practices they need to put in place before they occupy these communities so they are not ravished by reptiles that may be occupying them? And issues of open defecation have also continued to be on the lips of many. The federal government has allocated next year, 2025, as a target to eliminate open defecation completely in the country. And in Benue State too, it is alleged that some of the communities are practicing open defecation. To what extent does this pose danger to human health? As profile solutions. I have been joined here in the studio by two seasoned WASH advocates who have been in the field practicing advocating concerns on water, sanitation, and hygiene across Benue communities and beyond. First, I'd like to welcome the Benue State Coordinator for Society for Water and Sanitation, NEWSAN. She is a WASH advocate and the team lead Okaha Women Development Foundation, Mrs. Joy Ijuwo. Welcome to Hygiene Radio, Mrs. Ijuwo. Good to have you join us on Perspectives.
Thank you. Good morning, Benue people. I'm delighted to be here.
The Executive Director, Gender and Community Empowerment Initiative and a member, National Task Group on Sanitation, Mrs. Dorcas Iorkusa, is also one of our panelists on Perspectives this morning. Welcome to Perspectives, Mrs. Iorkusa.
Good morning, Nat, and good morning, listeners. I'm pleased to be here.
All right. My name is Nathaniel Nongu, welcoming you to this Wednesday edition of Perspectives. And if you are tuning in for the first time, Perspectives is audience participatory, broadcast from now to 11 a.m. We avail you the platforms through which you can participate on the program later in the course of it. Let me begin with you, Mrs. Iorkusa. Are you worried about the state of water, sanitation, hygiene challenges Benue is faced with? What is the situation based on your experience in the field?
Well, Mr. Nat, if I said I am worried is an understatement. I am perturbed. Because if you go through the streets of Benue, Makodi, and if you go through Benue State, you agree with me that it's like a pandemic. You find shit everywhere on the streets, on the roads, in the farms. It's a little bush. And it's so worrisome because of the extent to which feces.
Your thoughts on what is the state of WASH situation? By WASH here we mean water, hygiene, sanitation. What is the situation?
The topic that we are looking at today, I'm delighted that we are speaking to the Benue masses and all of us. Yes, the situation today shows that there's a lot of poor access to improved water and sanitation in Benue State, and it remains a major contributory factor to high mortality and morbidity rate, especially for under 5 children. You continue to show a rising trend in open defecation, and also the report indicates that only 26.5% of Benue population use improved drinking water, water sources, and sanitation facility. The number of people defecating, like Dorcas said, keeps soaring, despite the fact that sensitizations are being carried out often. But then, like she said, when you go out, you see public places littered with shit. Our facilities, public facilities and institutions do not have toilet facilities for people who access them. It will surprise you that even business locations, business sites, People get to open businesses, they expect customers to come, and yet they do not have facilities for themselves nor their customers, except for a few banks. This is very, very unfortunate. I think it's something we really need to look inward, what we can do as individuals and as a government, as a people from Benue State.
Okay, Mrs. Iorkusa, let's look at what are the primary causes of waterborne diseases.
Yeah, the primary causes of waterborne diseases, like we have mentioned, is drinking from unimproved sources like the rivers. Like they get into the drinking water sources and people get to drink them, and these waters are contaminated. And to a large extent, these chemicals that we use for production of our crops they also get into the water. People get them even for the hand dog wares, chemicals that are used to treat corpses. Also, you find out to a large extent, in Benue State, you can, just like she mentioned, mainly with those that drink from sometimes bottled water and sachet water. And for those that are privileged to have boreholes around them that can take directly from the boreholes and drink, you can say that that the water doesn't happen that way. So to a larger extent, Benue people are drinking from contaminated water sources, thereby getting to themselves sicknesses and waterborne diseases like typhoid, malaria, dysentery, and that these are signs that are...
This is Ijuwo. You mentioned earlier about lack of improved access to water. How does inadequate improved access to water sources contribute to sanitation issues faced in the state?
Yes, inadequate water source causes a lot of problem. What she was trying to say is, when people defecate in the open because they do not have toilet facilities or they do not have water, if you're going to use the toilet, you need water to flush. You need water to wash up. You need water to wash your hand. But if you do not have access to such, it then means you will prefer to go to the bush or defecate in the open. Now, what happens? When you defecate in the open, it leaks into waters, it leaks into the rivers, lakes, or groundwater, causing pollution to drinking water sources. Most times, we are told that the dams are being purified. The water from the dam is being purified. But how well is that done? So when a child takes it or a human takes it, at the end of the day, you come down with different kind of illnesses. We also have issues of soil contamination. When you defecate in the open, it leaves harmful pathogens in the soil, which can contaminate our hands, our food, and then other surfaces. We have harm also to aquatic life. You know, when all these chemicals that we tend to use in the farm get in touch with aquatic life, it pollutes the water sources, and then it also harms the life in the aquatic oceans and other things. So the ecosystem generally is being affected. So it's not just about harming our body, the ecosystem is harmed, the soil is being harmed too with all this contamination that comes from human body. So the quality of water in essence will be affected. And most times we take this water knowingly or unknowingly, believing that like most Africans will say, "Dirty no dey kill Africa." That is our belief. That's our mentality. But the number of persons that come down with different kind of ailments, diarrhea, typhoid, cholera, and name it, because extensive studies are not done most times before the person even gets to die. So we cannot even quantify and say these are the exact number of persons that have died because they took bad water. But those statistics can actually be worked upon so that we have reliable figures. But organizations like UNICEF, of course, international partners, have done a lot in doing so much research, and the research continuously shows that we are not doing well when it comes to water sanitation and hygiene in Benue State.
Okay, Mrs. Iorkusa, Benue communities, some, not all anyway, some communities recently experienced flooding, and since the floods generally may be receding now with people trying to resettle, how can they handle their water sources to ensure they are safe?
Yeah, as our people return to their communities, handling water sources is cooking with the water that has been contaminated from the flooding is dangerous. But they can treat these water sources by using, there are some chemicals that can be used to treat water sources. But in most cases, they might not be able to do it on their own. So it therefore behoves that the government helps them to do them. Some of these people cannot even have access to the finance that they can use to acquire these water treatment chemicals. And so the government has to come in to help them sort of in providing them with these chemicals and even providing the personnel that can treat this water for them before using it for cooking or for drinking. That is the appeal as a team we are going to be making to the state government to help these people that are resettling in those communities that were affected by the flooding, to help them not to get water from contaminated sources and use it for domestic purpose or for drinking.
Okay, Mrs. Ijuwo, is there something you would like to add to that? There are also concerns that some of these communities are infested with reptiles. To what extent is the safety of the water sources, especially ones that are meant for human consumption?
Yeah, that sure happen, and especially when you look at flooding that affects agricultural products. You lose a lot of agricultural products in the course of flooding. It destroys crops, it kills reptiles, and most of the time these reptiles die in the riverside because water flash floods pack everything to one side. And you know that with time, when it decays, it can cause a lot of harm to anybody that is consuming this water without purification. But the best way to handle is by boiling, like she said. That is the cheapest way to handle those kind of waters before consumption. Food storage is also going to be affected because most times you discover that they use chemicals to store these foods, and by the time flooding comes, you lose everything and anything, and then you just take whatever is available in the coastal area or in producing agricultural sites. So the instinct is to just take whatever you see because there will be hunger in the land, there will be mental fatigue. There are so many things that comes with flooding. It impacts economic lifestyle of the persons, and so whatever comes your way, you may want to eat, but critically before they take anything. And the most important thing to do is getting purified water, and then ensuring that whatever you're eating is well washed with whatever water you can be sure of that is purified and is good for consumption. Most times, we may not be able to get that kind of clean water. That is why there is that exigency for the government to ensure that provision is made using maybe tankers to supply waters to those who are in flood-prone areas or who have been affected by flood. Provision of water in tanks at such time is an emergency response that the populace will actually be needing. And most times you discover that this happens, especially in Benue State locations where there is no water. Even in the recent flood that happened in Benue State, we thank God that it was not so massive as was predicted. But then there were camps that were allocated for those that were affected. And quickly we saw that SEMA rushed and gave them water. packed them in particular school locations, and they had access to water, though it was not enough. Of course, it can never be enough. But those are some quick responses that can be done by governments when such flooding occurs in the state.
All right, dear listener, if you are just tuning in, you are listening to Perspectives on Highgate Radio 95.5 Star FM, Makudi, Benue State. We are discussing water, hygiene, and sanitation challenges in Benue State. And my discussant on the program, Mrs. Joy Ijuwo, is the Benue State Coordinator for Society for Water and Sanitation, NEWSAN. She is the Executive Director of Kaha Women Development Foundation and a WASH advocate. Mrs. Dorcas Iorkusa is the Executive Director, Gender and Community Empowerment Initiative. I'm a member, National Task Group on Sanitation, and a WASH advocate as well. You can participate on the program later at 10 o'clock by calling in on the line 0814-335-9292. I take the number once again, 0814-335-9292. In the meantime, we have already activated the line through which you can send a text or a chat on WhatsApp. And that line is 0912-699-9404. The number again is 0912-699-9404. Kindly remember to include your full name and where you are sending your message from. Log onto our website on www.highgateradiotv.com to listen to us and access other content of Highgate Radio as well. You may also download the Highgate Radio and TV app from Google Play Store. That app avails you the platform of our radio, newspaper, as well as television. It's one stop that serves you for all that. You can also find us on Radio Garden and on social media platforms. If you follow our pages, our content is there and this program is streaming. To what extent does inadequate waste management contribute to sanitation issues?
Inadequate waste management contribute to sanitation issues such that it degrades the environment. It makes the environment not to look good. It also contributes to generating sicknesses for the populace. Right now, if you go around Makurdi, you will see that Bensesa is not doing much in terms of awareness, creation, follow-up on sites or follow-up on communities to see whether they are just distributing their waste indiscriminately or not. If you go around the town, you will see waste everywhere. Each time I'm on Highgate, I talk about my environment, where I live, my community where I live. I live on Adachengi Street, and if you go there behind me, and if you see what's happening there, I have talked to those people for quite some time. Last week, I was telling someone around that area that I'm going to bring something or some group of people there that can help me talk to them. I don't know if it's because I live around that area, but if you go there, if you see what's happening, every kind of thing is just dumped. There is a little stream close to it. The stream is already filled up. There are houses this side and this side of the stream. And I wonder how they breathe. You go there, you find feces. My sister was telling me that sometimes they even found an aborted baby there, a corpse of an aborted baby there.
That's unfortunate.
Just everything is found around that area. And you can see by the area that they are still cultivating vegetables for eating, for consumption. So and there also, you see some small boys coming there to catch little fishes. And you wonder if human beings are the ones consuming this thing that is gotten from this garbage-infested stream and area. And you wonder if the people that are living there are human beings or not. So, and if you go around Makurdi town, before we used to see garbages in the middle of the road. Now that has reduced to some extent, but you find sites that are truly not good to look at. And then you see plastic waste flying everywhere in those communities and within the town itself. So it's making our town not to look, clean in terms of sanitation, and then in terms of hygiene. It causes pollution of the air, pollution of the environment. Flies perch on those garbage and the feces, and then they go back to perch on our food, and we eat, and our food gets contaminated. So there's a lot happening with the environment that a lot of people don't know. The soil is being degraded by the plastic waste and all that, and then the drainages get clogged, and then the water can't flow freely to the river, and then it causes erosion. It causes erosion and flooding that we're talking about. So these are some of the causes of environmental sanitation.
Okay, when you mentioned the extent of having the corpse of an aborted child, quite a sorry situation. It's quite horrible to hear. That's to say that there is also a cause for improper waste management as it concerns menstrual hygiene or something.
Menstrual hygiene, whatever hygiene you think about, you see diapers being dropped everywhere. You see menstrual pad. That one is a very common thing to see around the city as you go around. It's very. I don't know what they think about their menstrual hygiene. They just drop the used menstrual pad anywhere.
All right, Mrs. Ijuwo, this cause for concern. What can we do? We are not handling our waste properly, including even menstrual products or menstrual hygiene issues. It can lead into an epidemic. What can be done?
Yeah, one of the solutions, I think, is first and foremost, I think the government needs to make provision for equitable sanitation or access to sanitation for its populace. It behoves on the government. When we keep calling government, it's not that people want to mention government. That is their first and sole responsibility, to cater for humans. The resources from governance is supposed to be used for governance and not to be siphoned into personal pockets. If the resources are used as such, believe me, most homes, most communities, especially in the urban settlements, will be smiling, because you see that equitable access to water, sanitation, and hygiene services are made available. She mentioned Bensesa. Now, if you go to Bensesa today, their capacity when it comes to the human resources is limited. They do not even have enough human resources to go around Makurdi as a state capital, not to talk about the rural communities. How many times do we hear that Bensesa have gone to local governments to inspect what is happening, even at local government headquarters, not to talk about the interiors? So a government agency like that needs their capacity to be built, and they also need resources. They need to be empowered to do the needful. Their vehicles should be as many as possible. They should be seen going around town randomly to assess where there are dump sites, so that these can be cleared as at when due. Do you know that when you walk around the street, most places like markets, you would be, you have stench odors coming from fields around the communities, even in the market where foodstuff are sold. Most times I go to the market, you see somebody just buy the egg, he does not wash it, she does not wash it, she eats it. Meanwhile, the ground where those things are displayed is terribly dirty. A case in question is, if you're going along Urukum Road, just beside Benue Links, All the food stuff you see there, they are displayed on the floor. Not
even by living feet.
Yes, not even on any elevation. They are on the floor, the bare floor. These are very dirty habits that we need to encourage people to stop. At NEWSAN level, we have gone there severally to sensitize them. But these practices is still ongoing. But an agency like BENSESA, which is a government agency, an MDA, is supposed to be tasked with that responsibility to ensure that the communities, the market, the environment is clean. So the government has a huge task. It is one of their responsibility to ensure that the populace are in good health. If everybody is sick, who are you going to be ruling? Who are you going to be doing governance over? It means that everybody will be sick, people will be dying, and you'll be running helter-skelter to be burying people instead of ensuring that life is robust, life is good, and the well-being of your people is in good condition. So on the part of government, there is a lot to be done. All the budget we keep hearing about that has to do with WASH, yes, happily Benue State is even going to be going into the budget process very soon. But are these implemented? The implementation is very, very poor. Most of the implementation we hear are even at
on
zero. Paper. Just on paper.
Yeah, on paper.
No money is given to these agencies to work. So how do they work? You're working for government. You're not expected to use your own pocket money to do your work. Government is supposed to fund all their activities. But in most cases, that is not. And that is why we see... You
don't have vehicles to convey garbage and all that. So how do you work? Will you convey the garbage on your head?
It calls for concern.
Yes.
Anyway, we hope the authorities, as they are listening, they should be able to address the challenge. But I'd like to take you back, Mrs. Iorkusa, to the issue and practice of open defecation. Across local government areas in Benue State, you have been actively involved in the field. What is the experience beyond Makurdi, the state capital?
I am not happy to say what I'm going to say here now, but I have to say it. It might not go well with some people. That I know, but I have to say it. Yeah. We have about, before we had about 6 local governments in Benue State that we declared ODF. And now I think we have added, NTGS has not pronounced it. So I don't want to say that we have about 3 other local governments because they were just validated. And it's not been announced. But if you add that, that is making about 9 or so in Benue State that have been declared ODF.
By ODF, yeah, that's open defecation free. Yes, okay.
But if you go back to those same local governments, the status has changed. They have gone back to defecating in the open. I've been to some of these local governments and I've had first-hand experience. So nobody is coming to ask me, where did you go? Gwe East is one of the local governments. Just go to Bayongu here and you see if what I'm saying is true. Just appear here. Go there and see if what I'm saying is true. So, there is no sustainability. These international organizations come here to help us do what we're supposed to do. But after they leave, there is no machinery for sustainability. So the people get tired. Those WashCom community members that were trained to handle these issues have all gone back to sleep. They just wear the T-shirts. You see them with the T-shirts. And I've been able to talk to some of them. I ask them, you wear the T-shirt and you go around the town or the community and you don't do nothing. So what's happening? And they will tell you that since after those people left, so they have not come back. And the local government WASH units are saddled with the responsibility of sustaining that status. But as it is, with every sector in this country, you find out they have no money to even fuel their vehicles to go back to those communities. The ones that have motorbikes don't have money to fuel those motorbikes to go back to those communities and find out what's happening. And so the people also relapse. They go back to their former way. You know, a human being has a tendency of going back to his former vomit. when he sees that nothing is happening, nobody is there to punish him for what he's done or something. Before in those communities, even if you go for a wake, you have people going around to see if anybody is going into the bush to defecate. But now nothing happened. Everybody is just going about their own business, doing whatever they want to do. So most of those communities have gone back to OD. I'm sorry to say it.
Okay.
But that is not supposed to be so.
Yes. You mentioned sustainability, because if they have attained the status of being open defecation free,
Yes.
the sustainability should be there. But how can it be sustained if facilities, maybe toileting facilities, are not provided?
In those local government areas that we declared ODF, almost every household had a toilet, and they were using the toilet at the time of the declaration. And so those toilets are still there. It's not as if they are not there. The toilets are still there, but you find people going. But remember, you are not supposed to defecate in the open. Remember, you are supposed to wash your hands after defecation. Remember, you are not supposed to expose your food. Remember, you are supposed to drink from, because during validation, all those points I've mentioned are taken into cognizance. You must satisfy the ODF protocol before you are declared ODF. But after some months, after 1 or 2 years, nobody is coming, nobody is saying anything. Everybody has gone back to be doing their own usual thing that they were doing before that declaration was made. So that's the issue.
Okay, Mrs. Ijuwo.
Yeah.
There are people who argue that this practice of open defecation, the dangers of it, women are mostly at the receiving end. To what extent is that true, and how can it be curtailed?
It's very true. It's very true. Because family, either for cooking, for washing, for whatever. And if there is a household that does not have water, life will just become unbearable. It means you can't eat, you can't cook, you can't bath, you can't do anything. But traditionally, we see that it's usually the women and the girls that go looking for water. You can see it everywhere, even in the communities. You hardly see where boys are sanctioned with the responsibility of looking for water. But, that's not the topic we're talking about today. You see, when women and girls go to the bush or go far away from the home to look for water, what happens? It gives opportunity for persons to even want to rape them. We have seen this happen countless times. A number of times we have had reports that it is when I was on my way to the river, when I want to go and look for water, that I got caught and was raped. I got cornered and was raped. So these are reports that have consistently been reported to us. In fact, even very recently, we had such a report of a rape of a 14-year-old girl that was raped because she was cornered by an elderly man who was supposed to be a security guard in the neighborhood where she was going to look for water, because the whole place was quiet. In the mornings like this, when there are obviously no people around, most persons have gone to their workplaces. And in the quietness of the community, we have this old man, a 57-year-old man, who got to rape this very young minor, because she usually goes to that compound to look for water. So these are the stories that we keep hearing. And more so in the community. Because in the community, you have to go very far from your home to look for water source. If it's a river or if it's a pond. Most times it's not close to the houses. And then girls and women are being prone to different kinds of issues. We even have, we've had cases of snake bite, scorpion biting children or even women because they've gone to source for water for the household. There are so many consequences that come with that. Even for women, defecating in the open have proved to be worse for them in their case than for men, because they have to squat to defecate. And then because of, like I mentioned, all those pathogens, disease,
and even flies perching on the sheet and
yes,
then perching on their private part.
Yes. You see, that increases their risk of getting disease. So these are different factors that affect more of women and girls than the other gender. And we are not saying that it does not affect everybody.
During menstruation is worse.
It's even worse. Where you don't have water to clean up, you don't have water to wash up, it becomes a big problem, a big challenge for girls. We have seen girls drop out of school because they do not have access to water. When menstruation comes, they leave school, they quit school. By the time they come, they have missed so much. They discover they cannot cope, and as a result, they just feel, no, I don't want to go to school again. I'd rather do business. I'd rather stay at home because of issues of no water, no facilities for them. So it's quite huge. It's quite endangering. But there are ways out, like we were mentioning. There are ways out where government can come to their aid, and we have also discovered that international partners have been doing a lot. One, information sharing, sensitization, campaigns, town hall. Some states even being ODF, like Jigawa State. But like she said, go to Jigawa now. You will see public shit everywhere. That sustainability is not there. But the only way, and one of the sure ways we can get this done is
little monies to these local government wash units, equipping them with little facilities to be able to follow up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Mrs. Joe, I believe you've landed your points, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Mrs. Iorkusa,
yeah,
particularly for women, the subject matter of open defecation that we have brought them into, let's educate that woman in the community on proper ways of using toileting facilities and, of course, menstrual hygiene management, so that we don't get to compound more sanitation issues.
Okay. For women out there, personal hygiene and proper use of the toilet means that you have water close to the toilet. Toilet must be provided. Toilet must have a cover if it is not WC, that is, flies come out. And then when you go to the toilet, you have to wash your hands properly before eating, before bathing, so that the same hands that you are going to use to wash your private part are clean. You don't carry any pathogen from somewhere and put it or insert it in your private part. And during menstruation is worse because your system is open. Blood is coming out, blood is going in, so it's easy to transmit anything that you can get that is not clean to your system. And then you find out tomorrow you have a fibroid, tomorrow you have a cyst, tomorrow you have cancer, and then we all know what the consequences are. Cost of treatment is expensive. The modes of treatment sometimes they don't augur well for people, and the ultimate is death. And so women have to get clean water to wash themselves, or to wash their hands after the use of the toilet, and then to completely avoid open defecation. And for those women in the rural communities that use a drop pit latrine, that is the straight hole latrine that they use, they can treat their toilets by putting ash in the toilet. The ash can help decompose the sheet. It can help kill some of the pathogens, and so they don't get the heat, that when you sit on a drop direct toilet pit, there's some heat that can emanate from the sheet that is not properly decomposed, and it can affect them. So they are advised that continuously they pour some quantity of ash in the toilet. If it's not on a daily basis, it can be like twice in a week. And we know that ash is not expensive. It's not something you can buy from the market. You get it from your kitchen where you are cooking. And so it's very easy to do that. And to also avoid going into the bush, to avoid being raped, because there's no security in the bush, so that they can avoid being raped, or avoid being bitten by snakes, like she said, and all kind of things that happen out there, because truly there's no security for a woman outside there.
Okay, we hope people are listening and they will get one or two information that will be useful. Mrs. Ijuwo, what role can schools play in educating children about proper hygiene?
Yeah, schools have a very important role because the greater percentage of the populace are children. We have so many children around, and most of the time in schools, it's not just about the academic knowledge. Teachers are supposed to play a very huge role in ensuring that they impact the right knowledge for children. They should make school environment friendly. How do I mean? Making the school environment friendly in the first instance means that the school will have to be clean. It shouldn't be dirty. It shouldn't be littered with all manner of waste. The school should make it a priority to ensure that their environment is clean. Then, when the environment is clean, it means it is safe. Schools are also meant to provide toilet facility. If there is a school that does not have a toilet facility for boys and for girls, it means they are wrong. They need to go back and structure their plan so that as soon as possible they get a toilet. When I say toilet, it means there should be, for privacy, there should be a toilet for girls separated from toilet for boys. It should not be together. That's separating boys and girls' toilet. And then they should teach students about disposal. That's in open toilet. If possible, when schools are building toilet, it should not be the kind of toilet you go sit in, because the tendency is that the toilet will always be dirty. So usually a squat toilet will be preferred for schools, so that nobody have to sit on somebody else's pee or poo. So they should design it in such a way that children are not exposed to contaminated feces, so that it doesn't cause more harm for the girls. So they should also ensure, schools generally should ensure that they have sources of water. There should be sources of water. If you happen not to have tap, then get a borehole or well. But anyhow, there should be a source of water for children in school so that they rush there. In fact, recently, for those of us in NEWSAN, we have been advocating for a pad bank in schools for girls, so that if a girl is in school and she starts her menstruation, she doesn't have to go back home simply because menstruation starts while I was in school. So there should be a pad bank in all the schools. We are taking this advocacy across to the Ministry of Education so that they enforce it in all their schools. This hasn't happened, but we are looking at a target for next year. By next year, we should be able to do this, carry out this advocacy to the ministry, and enforcement should be done next year as fast as possible. In all this is just to make the school conducive for the girl child and even for the boy. Granted, there are some schools, private schools, that are doing very well when it comes to water, sanitation, and hygiene. Yes, but what about the public schools? Our children are there. The poor man have his daughter and his child in that school. Should they be left because they do not have money to go to private schools? No, it shouldn't be. So we are trying to see how the government can enforce that the right disposition is in place for all the schools. And then last but not the least, the teachers need to have their capacity built on this, because most of the time we ask teachers questions when it comes to WASH, they do not even know. So their capacity needs to be built. So they need to be trained to know what and what they need to tell their students. A girl comes up to a teacher and said, I need to go and use the toilet because maybe I suddenly see a flow, and the teacher will shout, shut up, go and sit down. You know, that could be morally and psychologically bouncing back on the girl. She may be embarrassed. But if the teachers are trained and they know what to do at the right time, the school will just become a conducive place for children who will always want to go back to the school. And then they can find a soft landing with teachers, not necessarily a counselor. All the teachers are supposed to be trained to know what to do at the right time. Thank you.
All right, Mrs. Iorkusa, you want to chip in a word on that briefly before we
I want to chip in a word. She mentioned pad bank. Some people will say, what's pad bank? Pad bank is supposed to be a place, a room, where a girl can go in to change her pad anytime she needs.
That's menstrual pad.
Yes, menstrual hygiene pad.
Yes.
Without harassment, but I don't know where we got this mentality of simplicity. But whereas Africans are just simple people who neglect a lot of things that are little but very important. And like she said, that can make a girl to drop out of school. Because I remember while in secondary school, I started menstruating in secondary school, and I didn't even know what it was because I was not told by my mom. And then we had the boys got to know that we're menstruating, and then they were chasing us to remove our pad.
That's quite shameful.
When they knew, because I went to a boarding school, when they knew that we were menstruating. I've shared that experience before. And so parents have to teach their children what is menstruation so that they know that a time comes when you will menstruate. And when you menstruate, it's not a bad thing. You know, I took it like I was sick before I now went to ask my mom before she started explaining to me. And you know, parents have to do that for their children to know that it's a girl's thing and it must happen. It's not sickness. It's not that you must be stigmatized for menstruating. The men also do their own, but their own is a one-time thing. So, you know, at puberty, nobody knows. And sometimes it's only them that know. And if they don't tell you, you will not know. And so it's not something that girls should be stigmatized for. But a lot of girls get stigmatized because they don't know what it is. They feel it's a bad thing, and so they don't know. And like she said, the teachers also need to know. When they know, they will inform the children better. We had a case of a girl that went and asked her teacher what menstruation was because she didn't know. She was having it for the second time. She went to ask the teacher. The teacher now said, it's because you have not slept with a man. Once you sleep with a man, it will stop. And then she now went and slept with a man and it stopped. She went back to tell the man that I'm not seeing my menstruation again. The man said, oh, you could be pregnant.
That's quite misleading.
Yeah. And so we are sweet. But the schools have to know that they have to provide that. But like she said, for the private schools, government have to provide for them. They are owned by the government to enable children of people who are not private practitioners. The communities can help public schools achieve those status by dropping small. We need to learn how to give back to our communities in whatever way we can. We are not giving back to communities. It's just me and my family, and that is enough. But it's not enough. We have to give back to our communities. Community efforts have to come in. If those processes that we're talking about, CLTS, open defecation, and all that were owned by the communities, even when these international partners move out of the feed, the communities now own these processes and they go on, even with little or no assistance from the government. Once the people, we all come from communities. If we contribute to these communities, these things can go on even without government involvement, even though we know that it is the duty of the government to do so.
All right, we're due to start taking calls, but that will be after the short breather. Kindly stay with us, dear listeners. Welcome back from that short break, dear listener. And if you are just joining us, you are listening to Perspectives on Agate Radio 95.5 Star FM Makurdi. We are discussing water, hygiene, and sanitation challenges in Benue State. You too can participate on the program by calling us on 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292 is the line to call. Once you connect with us, we would like to know your full name and where you are calling from. Then you make your submission. Kindly keep it very brief and do endeavor to move away from your radio once you are on. The SMS line is 0912-699-9404. Good morning and welcome to Perspectives again.
Yeah, thank you very much. I must say, hard luck for your Qatar this morning.
Okay, thank you, Solomon.
I'm hearing you from the background.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you. So my take this morning, I want to shift the whole blame to the government, especially this quality assurance. There was on the schools, see how they organize their school premises.
Hello, Solomon. The network, they seem to be unfriendly this morning. It's breaking. We can't hear you well. Hello, Solomon. Are you there? Oh, Solomon is on, but your voice is not coming through. I'm afraid we may have to disconnect with you because the network seem not to be really friendly with you. But the line is still available. Try to call back if you can. Good morning and welcome to Perspectives. Hello. Okay, we lost connection with that caller. The number to call is 0814-335-9292. What we're discussing is water, sanitation, and hygiene challenges in Benue State. So if you call, please, your submission should be in line with what we are discussing. Good morning. Hello. Oh my goodness. It's okay. 04 is for SMS and the 14 calls is 0814-335-9292. Sometimes the network will do this, but will not be tired of attempting to speak to you on the program. Good morning, Perspectives.
Thank you. My name is Engineer Robert Medu, a former Sanitation Task Force Chairman, Benue State.
Good to have you. What did you say your name is?
For Engineer Robert Amedu.
Robert Amedu. Where are you calling us from, Robert?
Yes.
Robert, where are you reaching us from, please?
I'm calling you from Makurdi here.
Okay, which part of Makurdi, please?
From behind the Civil Service Commission.
Good. Go ahead, Robert Amedu.
Yes, I want to appreciate the two ladies that have been contributing since. I listened to their conversation. Chairman of Task Force. Honestly, I made all effort to see how this issue of refuse could be eradicated in Benue. Especially, I tried to, wade into Bensesa so that, we could enforce the issue of waste bin in every household or even within group of households, so that we can reduce what we see on the road. Because what is happening is that if we do not tackle that issue, there is no way the tips that we see on the road will stop. The issue of enforcement can only be done through a task force, but the task force was not covered enough by the laws that Bensesa has. We were only operating on Bensesa law. We didn't have our own powers. That was what happened. You see, honestly, hello?
Yes. You're on. Go ahead.
Yeah, honestly, if only there is a law that will empower either Bensesa or the task force that will handle household and ensure that everybody has his waste bin, it will go a long way. Because that is what happened in other states and in a vast country. You can't just go and just dump refuse on the roadside and say that the Bensesa should come and evacuate. I kicked against it. right from the word go.
Okay.
I told them I don't accept that.
Yes. So, Robert, before you go,
Yeah.
I will ask you, these are allegations in public domain that sometimes even this task force rather go about collecting money, extorting people, and going away without enforcing anything. Is that true? Growing up as a young boy, we used to hear about sanitary inspectors going house to house, checking toileting facilities.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was, you see, that's the task force we are talking about. Let me tell you, was not the kind of task force I was running. I was running a state, I said, chairman, sanitation, environmental task force chairman. The task force you are talking about, those ones are those petty task force that we are formed either by Ben Sessa or whatever. But this one was formed by the state governor by himself. So it's not. And when I came, Ben Sessa was very ineffective. We almost took over the job of even Ben Sessa itself, because Ben Sessa didn't even have one single vehicle to operate. My friend, I want to appreciate a former PAMSEC in that up, even at the market and so many other places with him. You won't believe we were even going about. We went even as far as going to hire tractors to do this kind of work. Because Ben Sessa didn't have one single equipment. But now, from what I see, I don't know, but I know that I can see some vehicles of some companies going around clearing, going to streets, collecting refuse. But there's something I noticed about this present Ben Sessa, which I still don't want them to key into the former type of system that Ben Sessa was running. The truth is, if they do not wade into streets and compounds to enforce the issue of having waste bin, that thing will not stop. Because as I talk to where I live, where I live behind Civil Service Commission, right gutters in front of me, they bring out their they put the refuse inside their leather, or inside the gutter.
Yeah.
They block the gutters with it.
Robert, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much for calling in. We appreciate you for sharing your thoughts with us on the subject matter. In any case, we hope the authorities should get to be more proactive in addressing issues of waste management. Hello, good morning. Hello. Good morning. Okay, the line is available, 0814-335-9292. The SMS line is 0912-699-9404. If you're not able to get through to the call line, simply send an SMS, 0912-699-9404. The call line is 0912-699-9404. Good morning. Hello, better, please.
Good morning.
Morning. Thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Linus Onoja speaking from Makurdi here.
Okay, which part of
precisely behind is timely, because 2 weeks after rain has stopped, you see, in any environment, security is the government that's supposed to issue of water and sanitation and flood. So many topics you put in one basket discussing now. First of all, it started with flood. After flood, now you go into basic sanitation and all that. It's a very wide thing, but all gearing toward providing safety of life.
Very well.
The problem with us is that, you see, all of us run to go outside the country. Some have trained outside the country, and some every day they go to the country, other countries of the world, especially developed countries. And when we come back, we tell good stories of how those countries are doing wrong.
It's true.
It's because of the environment. I have been saying this to my colleagues and all that. You see, and once the environment is clean, is conducive for living, everybody will rush to that place. Why is it then that we cannot make our own environment clean? The last speaker who spoke about household dustbins and all that is very important. Because what Ben Sessa is doing now and what they have been doing is moving along major streets and picking these dumps. What of those who are not living close to the main road? Where do they dump their wastes? They dump them along the streets, small streets. They dump them inside gutters. And if you go outside, immediately you go, especially when we mention government, so you see with the nature of politics we play in Nigeria, the government of the day will think you are criticizing them. No, government must sit up to provide the basic needs of man: water, electricity, food, and waste. So especially this water thing now. In Benue State, we've been hearing, look at River Benue flowing freely. There are other streets flowing freely. Just to convert this water into conducive and safe water is our difficult task we cannot do. It's very unfortunate.
Linus, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling in. Okay, once again, we appeal to you, caller. Once you call, be brief so as to enable others also have the opportunity to.
Good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Yes, this is Kwaza Vincent calling from North Bank, Makodi.
Good to have you, Kwaza Vincent. Go ahead.
They have been trying a lot in keeping our environment clean. But what I discover is that they lack the manpower and the logistics to carry out, to operate very well. Because when you see in North Bank here, precisely, there is...
For calling in. What portends for calling in? What portends health implication to their own community? But that's okay. It's part of what we face around us. Good morning. Face around us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you very much. This is Ogbeche calling from behind CBN, old CBN layout.
Okay, Ogbeche.
Respect to constituted authority. We don't have respect to constituted authority. If not, some of the challenges we have today is because we don't have a serious task force or law.
Hello, Peter.
Open defecations and TIFA vendors to pay fine and establish task force, serious task force that will monitor situation. As I'm talking to you now, there are some households that live across river banks and even waterways. If they don't wake up in the morning, full, they will just dump it inside the waterways. It's not the best. The political way to do the right thing is our challenge, it's our problem. Yes. Thank you very much.
Peter Ogbeche, thank you for your concise points. Okay. Imagine people throwing poo in the waterways. Disturbing to hear.
Some indeed don't have toilets, and some have toilets that they flush in the water.
Wow.
That's serious.
Those living by the river banks, they flush the toilet direct into the river.
Wow.
Right here in the state capital?
Yeah.
Wow, disturbing. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Mike Gadi. I'm calling from Garden Layout.
Okay, good to have you, the double Gadi man.
Okay. I want to appreciate this great program. It's quite a topic to discuss widely. If we have to discuss, we will discuss, even use the whole day, but I would like to just pick just two things: the waste management and open defecation.
Yes.
Sorry, I greet the guests in the studio too.
Good morning.
Greet you too. Good morning.
Yeah. Yeah. Where I see some of these are major problems at the government, on the government side, although the community too have a role to play. I would suggest that the government would do things like providing dump tanks where they notice that they dump a lot of wastages. They can drop tanks there. They go around the city, check where people dump a lot, and then drop tanks where these people will come and drop inside the tank, and then they will come pick the tank up, like the site areas. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, sir.
Of course, we understand you, Michael.
But,
Okay, and number two, they should provide mobile toilets.
Yes.
That's very important. And then thirdly, they can go within communities and educate these community leaders and then ask them their challenges at the same time. And then go to schools like that, Madam actually said, but she emphasized on teachers. The government too can go to schools and educate the pupils, students on how they can handle these things.
All right.
And lastly, just like the other caller said, we can use this as an avenue to provide employment for people within communities, where we can employ people to monitor these activities. People will stand watch anybody that dumps recklessly. The people or the persons can be arrested. You watch vehicles where people are throwing things from vehicles, and then you monitor the vehicle, get the vehicle arrested, and then these things, before you know it, will be able to handle these situations. Thank you very much.
My God, thank you for your opinion. Thank you for profiling solutions. 0814-335-9292. A few more calls before we come back to our guests in the studio. Good morning. Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to
Good
the
morning.
program.
Thank you. My name is Duana Joseph, calling from Uruku.
Zuana Joseph. Hello. Oh, we lost connection with you. Okay. Quite unfortunate you connected, but we lost connection with you. The line is still available, and the SMS line is available as well, if you can simply send an SMS. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Nathaniel.
Thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
Yeah, you're welcome. My name is Justin Umile. I'm calling from behind Augustinian Community Institute, Makodi.
Okay, so many people calling from behind communities today. So, okay, don't mind me, Justin. Go ahead. We are here behind the microphone as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
The issue of sanitation, as far as I'm concerned, I may wish to blame the government in a very little way, because I feel the challenge is more with us, more with the people. Our behavioral attitude towards waste disposal and keeping our environment clean is just nothing to write home about. Because if as an individual, I know that it is wrong for me to dispose of waste, authorities that are concerned to come and evacuate this waste. And having said that, if you reticulate water, you understand, to flush. So I am advocating that the issue of water being reticulated not only in Makodi, but in all the major towns of Benue State should be taken very, very seriously. It should be on a front-line charge. That is where I want to blame government. Then in terms of waste management at the community level, like in some northern parts of the country, you discover that the traditional rulers play a very key role in organizing their community members weekly or at intervals. You see them sending their town criers, please go and tell all my community members, look, also they let us come out and keep our communities clean. In this, at the community level. I feel that
Justin, on the part of the traditional rulers, maybe it may be an allegation subject to be proven, because some of these communities are actually in the forefront of promoting issues about sanitation. Don't you think so? Maybe it's a general relapse in the attitude of people.
So from what I've seen, from where I am, honestly, nobody has ever said, come, why are you dumping refuse here? Don't dump refuse here. This is how refuse should be done. Let us organize ourselves. Maybe even tax ourselves. Pay some talking for even private waste managers to come and evacuate. I have never seen it. It has never happened.
All right.
And the sanitation that that usually go on, it is usually on the street. The sanitary workers don't move from house to house as it was usually obtained in the past, where they make sure they go to your house, they make sure that you have all the sanitary facilities, your toilet, your kitchen, and all of that. All of that is not happening.
All right.
Mr. Justin, don't you think that can be a community initiative?
Yes, it can.
Okay, you can start it. It has to start with us.
Thank you,
can
Justin.
start it.
Justin, we
Okay.
thank you very much. Of course, community participation in ensuring sanitation in our communities or community, and people we key into.
Very well.
Yeah. Good morning.
Hello.
Just a moment. Good morning.
Good morning, presenter.
Morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Now, this is the voice of Mark Anwangbin, the father who is good from Tihaga, Goloko government.
All right.
Thank you so much. Concerning the topic discussing this morning, we need to play our part, and government should also play its part. From the masses, I think we need to give total compliance based on the rules and regulations of all the preventive measures from the environmental sanitation. I think it is not good to be giving no compliance on terms of the government directive, because we have experts in all sectors. So whenever they come on radio like this to sensitize people, I think based on the preventive measure, we the masses need to give total compliance. For example, in our houses, I think most especially in our localities, it is difficult for you to see a big compound and you can discover even a one single shelter there or a pit there. Talk less of water system. So there was a program that was being introduced by the government which had the community volunteer, that WashCon. I think the WashCon tried a lot. But there are some times that we were one of the volunteers, whenever we reported the matter to the relevant authority based on the sensitization that we were having from the experts, they failed to give total compliance by quick reaction. There are some people that are doing it purposely. They will tell you that they see no need of digging latrine. They even prefer to defecate freely, open like that. So in terms of the government, concerning my locality, particularly in my community here in Batanya, if you see, this River Gwe is the biggest stream here that we used to enjoy to fetch our water. And ahead of our community here, there was a road linking Teraku Naka on the Naka road. That all the drainages are down the market are being constructed. So all the particles from the Ondena flow down to River Gwe. So if government is doing a lot, I think the most part that government can perform, our government can do, that we alleviate our suffering is to provide a potable water from us. I think if the boreholes are being sunk from the rural areas, I think it will be easy to be free from all those communicable diseases like diarrhea and other diseases that can cause harm in our body. So government should play its part, and the masses should also give total compliance when government gives directives. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mark.
Yes.
Okay, let's pause here. And Mrs. Iorkusa, let's start with listening to the callers, especially Justin Umile, who was making a concern about community participation. How can community leaders promote good hygiene and sanitation practices?
Mr.
Community leaders are members of community in general.
Sometimes I wonder where our thinking was distorted, and if you listen to me earlier, I said I don't know why we Africans have become so simple to the extent that things that we should do to make us healthy and to make us live a good life, we have simplified them and we take them to be nothing. The Bible even says that cleanliness is next to godliness. So if you want to live a good life, start with you. And you need to know that you don't have to dump your refuse anyhow to make your environment clean. You want to enjoy a clean environment, that is where it starts with. It starts with you knowing that you don't have to defecate in the open. It makes you have low esteem. How do I go and open myself in the open to defecate? You know, you start thinking like that. And when you value yourself, there are things that naturally you will not do. Defecating in the open, cleaning your environment. How do you not clean your environment to a point that is dirty? Even your own sitting room is dirty, your outside is dirty, your kitchen where you are cooking your food is dirty, the cooking utensils are dirty. How do you live like that and feel okay? So that's why I said it has to start with us. So if our community leaders are thinking that same way, they will have to bring their communities together. While growing up, I used to notice that people in the communities used to gather and make some roads, some small roads, inroads to their communities. They will set a day and say, okay, let's all come together and fix this road. And they were doing that. And while we were implementing in the villages, even in Benue State and some other local governments and in states, we discovered that some other community leaders will take it upon themselves to be digging toilets for their community members who can't afford. And sometimes they can afford, but they don't want to do it. And so you see these community leaders putting things together to dig a toilet. And at the end of the day, they will ask those people to pay a token for digging that toilet. So in no little time, you will discover that everyone in that community had a toilet and they were made to use that toilet. And it was working. So that's why I say there's a relapse. And how did this relapse come about? Because they were no longer doing what they were doing. It's either today I decided, well, does it really matter? I saw my neighbor's child defecating in the open, and I didn't say anything. Tomorrow, that child will continue. The mother also will think that nobody is saying anything about it again, so why do I bother myself? You understand? So that's how it starts. So if community leaders and even community members themselves can take it up themselves that they want to do this, they can do it. But sometimes we say that it doesn't matter. I don't care about what happens in my neighbor's house. But it affects. If the whole community is clean and just one person shits outside, I call it shit because I do shit matter, so I'm not afraid calling it shit.
Yeah, not excreta or human feces.
No, I
you don't want to use a euphemism for it.
Shit is what we know. Shit is what we know, and we have to know that it's bad. So I call it the way it is, so that everybody will know that shitting in the public is not good. Because if 10 houses are in a community, 9 are keeping their environment clean, they are not shitting in the open, but one household is shitting in the open, it means the whole community is contaminated, because the flies that are coming up from that one house are not limiting themselves to that house. They are flying to every household.
In fact, it sounded a bit disturbing when you mentioned earlier that there are some households that maybe flush toilets, or maybe
it happens. Go to the river banks. Go to the river banks and use. I don't want to mention a particular tribe. They wash
dirty water into the river.
Yeah. And so I don't want to mention any group of persons, because we all are guilty. If one is guilty, all of us are guilty. And because I see and I fail to say it, so I'm also guilty. Connivingly, I'm conniving with somebody else to flood the laws that should have made us healthy. So that's why we talk. And we must keep talking. But everybody's hands must be on deck. In as much as we say the government needs to provide clean water, because there's no sanitation without clean water. If I clean my environment, I need water to wash my hands and I need water to bathe. If I go to the toilet, I also need water to wash my hands. And so if there's no water, how do I do that? And so we can be talking about hygiene and sanitation all through the year, but if these things are not in place, we have not done anything. So government has to sit up on their game. They have to sit up. We will talk to them whether they like it or not. They have to sit up. We have monies. Go to some other countries that are not as blessed as Nigeria. But you see everything in place. People that are building filling stations need to, and this is where policy comes in. And if these policies are there, they have to be, maintained. It's not that this government comes in today, they say, no, that government that that policy that this other government had was not good. We follow it. Provision of these things should be should be a continuous thing. It's not something that we do today, we double in today, we double in tomorrow. No. Government has to put in policies that if I'm building a filling station or I'm building a shopping mall, I should know that I have to provide enough toilets. Sometimes it's only one toilet to a filling station.
And they may even lock
so
it.
if you have 10
They
persons that are pressed at the same time and want to ease themselves, how do they go into that one toilet? And then these toilets are not even maintained. And so I get into the toilet and I see that they are not maintained. I come out and I look for where to pee. And it's not good. All this pee and all these toilets are going into the river. This same river that we are saying that it should be purified for us to drink. And so if there is a policy, someone is building a filling station, the person knows that he's going to be providing toilets, not one, for people to defecate. That's why you find out that they are not there. And so somebody is traveling from Naka to Makodi and he gets to a filling station. There's no toilet. So he has to go and look for a bush where he can defecate. Because he's pressed and he can't hold himself to get to Makodi. Even if he gets to Makodi, that park, does it have a toilet? Most parks don't have. Even the ones that they have, they are not usable. And so government has to critically sit down, up their game. These things that these people are saying, or they are saying, or even me, I have gone out to enjoy. These people, don't they qualify to enjoy same? They are qualified because they are human beings and they are the reason why you are there. So if we channel 1/4 of the money that is budgeted for these things, I tell you they can be done.
All right.
So in addition, I want to say something about this community effort we're talking about. You know,
Yes.
community participation
Very well.
is very crucial for effective and sustainable sanitation progress, if we want any progress at all. What that means is the community will come together. They will identify their own lacks, the lapses that are in the community when it has to do with sanitation. Once they identify this by themselves, and is a project or is a concept that was brought about by UNICEF. Mm-hmm. Community total-led sanitation means they all come together. They identify the lapses when it comes to hygiene, sanitation, and water. Together, they work to enforce these activities and to ensure that these facilities are properly used. That means I'm checking my neighbor is checking you, you are checking me. We are checking ourselves to ensure that we do the right thing. Not that when you're not seeing, you go about doing the wrong thing. No. That community-led total sanitation is what leads to each household building their own toilet.
And using
it because we don't want to wait for government. So the community rise up, the gang to come together, even build for their neighbors, build for other families who are not able to. That is what community total-led sanitation does. And it is a very good concept that has been working in the past. But these days, because people feel that they don't care, people are going out to look for their own daily bread, their own daily means of livelihood. So they don't really care what other people are doing. But it is a very good concept that brings about monitoring. You have to monitor what is on ground, going up and down, checking and ensuring that all other families, because like she said, if one family defaults, it means the whole community have default. So the Mr. Mike who spoke about the community coming together, he is really very right. That is the only way we can achieve sustainable sanitation. And I want to talk about Mr. Solomon who spoke about quality assurance. Yes, government set standards. The schools are supposed to embrace it. I'm even aware that there are some schools that even pay money. I mean, students pay money to school authority to ensure that quality assurance is being maintained. But because people from the ministry, nobody can. No, they don't come to monitor. They don't come to supervise. There is no feedback mechanism. So all these things fail. But the truth is, the policies that are in place, they are good enough. We are not saying the policies are not good, but the enforcement, people should be put in the right place to enforce them, like the man that lives behind Civil Service Commission mentioned.
Yes.
If we have task forces that will be able to monitor and check all these things, it will go a long way to help us all our communities.
Okay, let's take a few calls and we'll come back. We'll try to conclude. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr.
Hello.
Good morning.
Yes, welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel. Tell us on your here, Makodi.
Good to have you join us, Daniel.
Hello?
Daniel, you are on.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you see, I want to appreciate you so much and your guest that spoke so many so well. You see, Nathaniel, I don't need to mention them. They eat lots of water. If they give you fat, that just take water again.
Will be breaking. Maybe
Hello?
you want to change your position so that
Hello?
you can.
Hello?
Daniel, speak on, please.
Hello? Are you getting me now?
Yes, speak on, speak on.
So, that was, there are some houses in Makodi here that people are living inside, more than 10 people. And the landlords are managing to do them one toilet. How are they managing? And there are small children that they will poo anyhow. So it's not good. It's not good. That kind of environment. How can you take a clean water? Sometimes you see somebody have diarrhea, cholera, and some everything. And lastly, I want to advise the government that please, this government is doing a lot. But after the rule, let them focus on our waterborne disease. So there are some areas that there was this running pipe. They focus on waterborne and that water district where those tap was and supply water. I think this thing will go a long way.
All right.
And borehole. So that is my advice. Thank you so much.
Daniel, thank you very much. We appreciate you for calling in. 0814-335-9292. A few more calls, then we'll wrap up. Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone of this. Especially our guest. I've heard what they say. My name is Live I'm fine. I'm speaking from Makodi.
Your network is breaking. I didn't even hear your name.
Is it still breaking?
Speak on now.
Are you hearing me very well?
Yes.
I say my name is Live I'm fine. I'm speaking from Makodi.
Okay, go ahead.
And then Sanitation.
Live where I'm afraid we may disconnect with you. The network, your network is not allowing you to speak to us. All the same, if you are able to connect back, fine. I'm sorry, please. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for joining us.
This is Engineer Robert still calling back.
Okay. Robert, just 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds.
Yes, the chairman of Environmental Sanitation Task Force from behind the Civil Service Commission.
All right.
I just want to comment the issue of community participation. The issue of open defecation is what I'm looking at still. I welcome the idea and the strategy that the lady spoke about, trying to enforce the filling stations, building toilet facilities. That is a welcome one. But the other one is our highways that are left very porous, where our transporters carry people and at the end they stop at bushes and all that, where people go to defecate, which is very wrong. I want to say that I went to Israel. I saw what happened. That, at each point of about 50 kilometers, you see creational centers whereby you can, stop over, ease yourself, and even relax yourself. These things are not meant for free. They are meant to even generate revenue. I think at the community level, especially the participation of the local government, local government must come in.
Thank you.
They have to.
Good morning, the anchor. Good morning to guests in the studio. My name is Akko Uji from New Jerry Makudi. The issue of water, sanitation, and hygiene is very important. We keep emphasizing the best practice and keep advocating engagement of everyone to ensure hand washing after defecation. There is also need for continuous sensitization using various mass media strategies. The Benue State government through Bensesa partnership can improve waste disposal by enforcing the use of waste bins in every household. All right, thank you, Akko Uji, for your message. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for joining us. You are our last caller, and we'll give you just 60 seconds.
60 seconds is even too much for me.
Okay, so use 30
because
then.
I only wanted to make a sentence, and
Okay.
that is all.
Okay, we'll give you 30. Thank you for being generous.
It's even too much for me.
Donating your 30 back to us. All right, go ahead, please.
You are taking my time. Thank you. My name is Fiasi.
Okay.
I'm calling from BSC here.
All right,
You
Fiasi.
know, in all what we said, the only thing that can make us have a good living is just change of attitude. I think that's all. If we imbibe that culture, change of attitude, everything will be fine. All these things we are talking about will not be any problem. Because nation building, you know very well that it's not given. It is worked for. And assiduously, you work for what you want. So if you have, if you change your attitude to anything you want to do, and then you're fine.
Thank you, Fiasi. Thank you. Change of attitude, that would be a fine place to leave it from the course. We'll conclude here in the studio now. I'd like to begin with you, Mrs. Iorkusa. What opportunities exist for public-private partnership in sanitation services that people can key into beyond government?
Okay.
That should be your concluding thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Nat. A lot of opportunities abound in the private sector to get involved in sanitation issues. Like we are saying, private partnership is important. Where government fails, private partnership comes in. And in sanitation business, private partner participation can be in form of provision of toilets at designated places where you find crowds and you sense that the facilities there are inadequate. Like talking about shopping malls or government places, like here in Makurdi, we have places of interest like the IBB Square, where most events are being held. And if you go there, you'll find out that there are no toilet facilities around there, even to urinate. And so a good business person can go there and provide toilets that can be used for people when they come to that place and at a price. But the price must be reasonable so that it can be accessible for every group of persons. And like markets, most times we members of NEWSAN have gone to market to provide them with hand wash facilities. But most of the times, immediately we leave, they are moved into private use. We give them buckets that can be used and can be taken and kept somewhere in the morning they come to use. Even hand washing stations were provided that, but you go there, you won't see anything. Somebody else comes and moves it for his own private use. But if it is a makeshift building that can last for a period of time, that is being provided with approval from the government, and tokens are being contributed to maintain the facilities, you find out that it goes a long way in curbing open defecation and people looking for where to pee. And also, like water, we found out that there are so many companies trying to provide water, drinking water especially. We have so many companies that are into sachet water production and bottled water production in Benue State, and that has alleviated to a great extent the issue of potable drinking water for the populace of Benue State. And so these are the areas where private partnership can come in, either trying to partner with the government or being on their own, providing these services, providing even places where our garbage can be dumped, and recycling some of the materials can also bring money to people who have money to do that.
All right.
And providing incinerators where menstrual waste can be burnt. That one, communities can do it. It's something that communities can put together money to do it, providing some incinerators where menstrual waste is burnt so that it won't constitute another hazard
or
to
pollute the environment.
Yeah.
All right, Mrs. Ijuwo, our time is no longer there, and I will just give you 60 seconds to speak briefly on what strategic steps stakeholders can take to address water hygiene and sanitation challenges as your concluding thoughts. So
Okay.
just key points.
Yes, so well, we have said it, the world is seriously far from what we are seeing. So for us to get to that stage, stakeholders who are in governance or even outside governance, but if you have a key role to do, if you're a target person, if you're a person that the community listens to, you need to work to ensure that everybody's hand is on deck, so that the goals, the SDG goals that we talk about, the Sustainable Development Goals that we talk about, like Goal 6, we are talking about clean water and sanitation. Goal 11, we are talking about sustainable cities and communities. For us to have this, it is all of us that will put our hands on deck. And they, as stakeholders, need to enforce policies. They need to ensure that the laws are kept, so that at the end we do not leave anybody behind. The goal of what we are saying is we are targeting children, we are targeting women, girls, boys, fathers, and everybody.
And people with disabilities.
People with disabilities too. So we want to ensure that everybody is living in a good and comfortable planet where justice and prosperity reign. And for there to be justice, for there to be prosperity, we all need fair provision of health, water, and sanitation. So it is critical that we don't leave anybody behind. And we are talking this to accelerate change in our mind for safe sanitation, both at our individual levels and in the communities. Then, I want to say lastly that we should be the change that we want to see.
All right, and that is why we at Agitri here have provided a platform to sensitize people so that we'll see the change, and the change begins with us, every one of us, on water, hygiene, and sanitation issues. Mrs. Joy Ijuwo is a Benue State Coordinator, Society for Water and Sanitation, NEWSAN. She is a WASH advocate and Executive Director Okaha Women Development Foundation. Thank you very much indeed, Madam, for coming on this edition of the program.
Thank you very much.
Mrs. Dorcas Iorkusa is the Executive Director, Gender and Community Empowerment Initiative. She is a member of National Task Group on Sanitation and Nongu. Remember, I get radio care by your health. So stay safe, watch out for good hygiene, and ensure good sanitation practices in your community. I am Nathaniel Nongu. Goodbye. See you on Friday.